Jairek Robbins, peak performance coach, world-renowned rapid results coach. It's great to finally meet you.
Great to meet you as well. Thank you for coming to visit here in San Diego.
It's beautiful out here, man. I got to say, it's kind of similar weather to Australia.
Yep.
But you've got a lot more going on for sure out here.
Maybe. We were just down in the Gold Coast in March hanging out, and it's pretty amazing. We happened to catch a couple 3-day storm while we were visiting, so it wasn't that sunny out, but we got to go to the zoo and hold a koala and feed some kangaroos. I know that's not a big deal in Australia, but to here, that's a huge big deal.
That's great, man. I actually personally haven't been able to go to Gold Coast yet out of every other place in Australia, so I'll make sure I check it out.
It's worth a visit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, man. All right, so really I want to kind of get an understanding of what your program is about, your rapid results program. So could you fill us in on that?
We have a variety of different pieces of the rapid results curriculum, and it starts out with an online program we created, which is a 30-day version to help you really figure out where you're going, what do you want to do with your life, how do you want to make it happen, what's your long-term and short-term vision, and what are all those pieces that need to be there to really help you turn that vision on paper into reality. The second piece of it is your inspiration or your reason why. So the next 2 weeks is figuring out how do you inspire yourself to take your plan and actually turn it into reality, not just another cool dream board on the wall that you don't do anything with. Then we have the intensive, which is the 90-day version of that, which goes beyond those first 2 weeks and goes into communication skills, personal development as far as you're figuring out your mission statement, your rules, your values, realigning who you are as a person and as a whole. Presentation skills, negotiation influence skills, all the way to a bunch of interviews with some of my friends teaching how they've overcome obstacles or how they've made great things happen. An example, we have a friend who charges $1,000 for a weekend come on board who teaches a memory course that he normally only saves for those participants who join his workshop, but he shared it with us in there just for fun. So that's kind of the first step, is the online piece. The second piece we have is one-on-one performance coaching that we do individually with different people to help them get tailored results specifically to what they're working on, and we really help them take it to the next level through that one-on-one coaching. And then the last couple of steps is we have a workshop that we go around. That's a 1-day workshop where we help people break through what's holding them back, get a physical experience of the application of the information. And then our final piece that we have is our retreat that goes twice a year. And this year we have it in December. It's 16 days, 7 countries, all through Central and South America. We do it on board a cruise ship. And what's fun is during the day when we're out to sea, we have workshops like a seminar on board each day. And then as soon as we get to port or the next stop, we do everything between zip lining in Costa Rica, volcano boarding down an active volcano in Nicaragua. Last time we built a house in schools for kids in Guatemala, and then hung out at Machu Picchu for the weekend. It's pretty cool.
Wow. And are a lot of people catching on to this course? Like, does it look like you're going to have to maybe even order a Titanic to take the next lot?
Hopefully we will not be on the Titanic for the next round.
They're making a Titanic too. It's coming out.
I've seen.
They are.
I'm not sure if I want to even try it. I believe in luck and don't do it that way.
Yeah, that's good.
But what's interesting, people are catching on. It is becoming more fun, and one of our goals with that is to never let it go beyond about 50 to 75 people. That way it's an intimate environment, and our goal is to take people who are perfect strangers in the beginning, and by the end they're family. Something that's very cool that we're proud of is we had an 80% return from our very first time to our second time. Meaning 80% of the people who were there with us the first time signed right back up and didn't want to leave. It was funny. We came home on the first one into San Diego, and all the people had flights home that day. They all canceled and moved their flights a week later so they could stay. And they actually, right up the road here, there's a hotel. They all booked rooms there and stood there for a whole nother week hanging out instead of going home because no one wanted to leave.
Wow, that's incredible, man. That is incredible. And it's awesome that you can turn like your passion into something that you do every day with, anybody. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. So can you tell me really what inspired you to become, a self-development life coach?
Sure. I kind of grew up in it. and a lot of people have given me the thought of, my dad was an electrician, so I became an electrician. And that's not quite how it happened. I got a lot of coaching down the road of go do whatever you want, And initially when I went to university, I wanted to study I think political science and then law, because I thought it would be cool to have a law degree for some reason. And within a year or so in, kind of scratched my head. I'm like, I'm not sure what I'll do with it besides hanging on the wall. And I thought about it, I said, what do I really love? And I love people. I'm curious about how they think and what they do and what's important to them. So I went into psychology in university and I got my BA in psychology. And while I was learning all these tools, I started to notice that a lot of the stuff they were talking about is stuff I had learned about or heard about or read about growing up with my dad being in the same industry. And so it was interesting because I was learning the basics where from dad I already learned the advanced stuff. So it's like going to school backwards. No, not cutting corners. Just you imagine learning the fourth year of school first and the first year last. Where you're kind of scratching your head. You're like, why am I learning this now? Like I should have learned that 10 years ago. So it was interesting because I would go up to my teachers and my professors and I'd say, hey, but you said that this is the one way to help someone do this, but this other way I've learned about takes 20 minutes. And they're like, I've heard of that, but that's only for, the people in their master's or doctorate's degree. You can't, we can't work on that at this level of degree. And it always seems so odd to me.
And that's sad, really, I guess, like it all comes down to as you probably know, your belief as well, what you actually believe that you can actually do. It doesn't matter how old you are or how little you've learned. If you're not putting it into action, then nothing's coming about.
It's true, and I do agree with the fact that you have to set a foundation and build up from it. At the same time, if you have a tool that works, why wait to use it? Exactly what you just said.
You're right, yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out there who go learn tools and they get stuck in one or two places. They go, wow, I figured out what it takes to help someone. I figured out what it takes to change lives, but I have to wait until I take that test and someone else tells me I'm now certified for me to go help them.
Yeah.
It's like, don't wait, just go help. At the same time, there's other people who just go gather a handful of little tools but never take the time to truly get the foundation.
Yeah.
So they don't have the depth or the understanding and or the appreciation for everything that had to happen to get it to where it is today.
Yeah.
So I'd say do both.
Yeah.
Get the depth, get the appreciation of it, get the depth of all the knowledge available, and apply it as fast as you learn it.
Yep. That's good. That's great advice. Very good advice. Can I ask, has it ever kind of gone because this is how I kind of feel, I guess, running my self-development website, I give a lot of people advice. Sure. And a lot of people will see it and they love the advice, but at the same time they may question because of my age. And I think we're probably around about the same age. I'm 26, I'm not too sure. 29, there you go, yeah. So I guess getting advice usually from a lot of the older people or the people that are seasoned in that industry is more something that people are receptive to. So have you ever had that kind of problem, I guess, with your age and people kind of feeling like, oh, he's not quite old enough yet, or he's younger than me? How can I learn from it?
Not quite. It depends on how you look at it. I remember I was baffled one time because the opposite experience happened. I was working for my dad's company and I was coaching for them, and I got a new client request, and when it came through I read the forms, and most of the clients I'd worked with was our age or a little older, a little younger, and or ladies seemed to be more receptive in the beginning to someone who's young, who's sharing tools with them. And it all of a sudden I got an email one day and it was from a gentleman who was also a coach, who was I think 20 or 30 years older than me. And I remember thinking wow, and maybe it's just a guy thing, but what am I going to teach him? It felt so weird in that moment, I don't know what to do. And it was interesting because when I got on the phone with him, the very first question I said, why would you pick me as a coach? And he said, listen, Jairek, I've been studying this for over 35 years now. I know all the tools, I've read all the books, I've gone to all the programs, I've listened to all the gurus and mentors and whoever's else out there. And he says, I got to tell you, I've applied that which works for me, and I'm looking for something new and fresh. I'm looking for a new set of eyes to see what I'm seeing, but see it in a whole new way. I'm looking for someone that's more creative, who's willing to try something that I would have tried 10 years ago, but nowadays I'm kind of set in my ways and I wouldn't think about it that way any longer. I'm looking for something to spice it up for me, to innovate, to cause me to have this whole new way about it, to cause me to grow in ways that I wouldn't have tried without that perspective. And all of a sudden I realized that youth is my strength in situations where I can add innovation, perspective, new strategy that they wouldn't think of, and or they would discount because of all the experience they have, that they've done stuff like that before and it's just not their thing. To get them back into the mix where they try it again at this stage of life, and all of a sudden they get geometric growth overnight because what didn't work back then totally works now. And the same thing, what totally works now might not have worked back then for them or that stage or that age or that moment of their life. So it's very cool.
Yeah, sounds like a smart man. Very smart guy. And that's true, like the landscapes are always changing. You've got to be able to adapt. Through your experiences so far in your coaching, what have you found to be the number one driving force behind any successful human being that's out there?
Success is such an interesting term because my belief is it's different for everyone. I mean, people, and it's funny, I've had experiences by the car I drive or the place I live in or the things I do, and someone will question it and be like, wow, I thought you were more successful than that, or and I always look at them like, what are you talking about? And I always ask them, well, how do you define success? And it's interesting because when you ask someone that question, or if you're watching, ask yourself the question, how do you define success for yourself? Is it things, stuff, happiness, joy? How much time you get to spend with your friends and family? Where you get to travel to? Is it how much freedom you have? It could be the ability or the amount of days you have before you have to actually work that you can continue to live the same lifestyle. Depends on how you describe it. For me, success was having the type of life that if I could wake up and live that kind of life every day, it wouldn't matter how much money I made. It wouldn't matter how successful I was. It wouldn't matter how much I achieved that day. Nothing else would matter. And I wouldn't trade that day for anything in the world. Someone could literally come and offer me $1 million, $10 million, $100 million deal, $1 billion deal. But the $1 billion deal says you have to go to an office, sit in a cubicle, work your face off from 6 a.m. to 10 at night for the next 5 years, and we'll give you that. Or for the next 5 years, you can live the type of life that every single day would be the greatest day on earth, and no amount of money, time, effort, energy, fame, anything you'd be willing to trade for it. I would always pick the second option and say, listen, I'd rather have my ideal vision for my life and call that success than spend all my time trying to earn something, thinking that once I get it, it's going to give me the ability to have all the things I've dreamed of.
Yeah, I think another reoccurring issue is like balance. A lot of people don't have that balance.
Yeah. And it's interesting. So how people define success totally is going to determine what they choose to go after, how they feel about what they have, how they feel about the entire journey. So for me, really simple, success, if you want to ask my piece of success, it's really living that day-to-day life that every single day would be the most amazing day humanly possible. Because here's what I do know. What if you spent 5.5 years, or let's say it's 5-year mark, you're 4 years and 11 months into the journey, and then you're going to get your big $1 billion and you die. Was it worth it?
All of that was worth nothing.
Exactly.
You don't take it to the grave.
You got nothing.
Yeah.
You had a dream that was 1 month away and you didn't make it.
Someone else enjoys the money.
Yeah. Or here's the flip side. Every single day from now until 5 years is living a joy, passion-filled, fun, exciting, adventurous, loving, fulfilled life. Every day.
Yeah.
And hey, once you start to fall in love with your life, why not go make your $1 billion or whatever you're after anyways? But if you're not in love with life, it's kind of hard to do what it takes every day to get those kind of crazy results.
Are you looking at going the author route anytime soon?
We're working on it. We're working through a book deal right now, and it's interesting where that industry is as a time right now. Because back in the day, if you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk or any of those guys, what's interesting, they talk about how the gatekeepers have disappeared. In order to become famous, or in order to get your message to the world, or in order to reach millions or hundreds of thousands of people back in the day, you needed to have major media on your side. You needed to have television, newspapers, all these media sources to get your message out to the world. Nowadays, primetime television, on a low night might get a couple million people watching a TV show. Here's what's insane. There's a chick who's from Jersey who lives in LA now who has 10 million subscribers on her YouTube channel, and she makes silly, ridiculous YouTube videos once a week. And what's insane about that is she has more captured viewers than primetime television. So what's fun is it's broken down the ability for one company or a bunch of companies to choose which message is going to get to the world and why. And it's opening up the doors of the world gets to choose what they want to listen to, what they want to see, what they want to hear. So we're going down the author route, and I'll tell you the truth, I don't know if it's the best route right now in history based on the fact of how people want to consume information.
Yeah.
Things are moving so fast that most people don't want to take the time to sit down and read a freaking book.
Yeah.
They'll listen to it while they're walking, they'll browse it on their Kindle reader or whatever they're using. They'll watch a video that describes it very quickly.
Like this.
Exactly. But a lot of people are not wanting to go down the route like they used to. Because remember back in the day, and I don't think we're even old enough to know about this time in history, but there used to be a time when the president would come on the radio and deliver a message, and every family would gather in their living room to listen to this amazing message being orated by the leader of the country at the time.
Yep. Times have definitely changed.
People used to get together in the living room and listen to their favorite radio show. Nowadays, you can't even get the family in the same room to watch anything. They turn it on in all the different rooms on all their computers and devices, and they all watch it by themselves somewhere and, yell to each other, "Hey, did you see that?" from the other room.
It's so true.
It's fascinating. If you look at where media is going and how people are consuming things, you have to be aware of that author route might be a good option. Will it last? But eventually it's going to kind of fade out into the mediums that people want to consume.
It looks like you're a little bit of a daredevil. I'm seeing some skydiving pictures, you on camels and jet skis and all over the place. So what would your advice be for somebody that's kind of facing their fear or needing to overcome a massive obstacle? What's really worked for you through your experiences?
Sure, a big thing is just don't hesitate. And people see these crazy pictures of me doing wild stuff and they're like, "Man, that guy's like fearless." It's like, no, bull, I got fear. Trust me, it gets me all the time. And what's funny though is when you hesitate, when you wait, when you stand there and think about it, it becomes so much worse than it really is. Versus if you walk up to it, you feel that weird gut feeling, you're like, it just doesn't feel right, screw it, I'm gonna do it anyways. And you just charge. And when you get used to that motion of just taking momentum, throwing it into it, and making it work, it's amazing how the fear kind of disappears instantly because you're already in motion. The scariest part about skydiving is standing on the frickin' edge, looking out. Once you're in the air, it's the greatest thing on earth.
Yeah. You can't go back once you jumped out, and you're thinking about it for too long, so you just got to do it.
But once you're in the air, it's fun. You're enjoying it. You're flying. You're looking at all the beauty around you. When you're sitting in the plane, you're thinking about how you're going to flop on the ground and die and what else might happen.
Yeah, that's right. Your fears are pretty much, all it is you being scared of something.
Sure. And here's the truth. Fear and faith are the exact same thing, focused on different aspects. So if you put two people in the same situation, one person's fearful, one person's filled with faith. The only difference is what they're choosing to focus on and the feeling that's creating in their body.
Yeah.
Fear is focused on everything that's going to go wrong, not knowing if it'll actually happen or not, but just focused on it. Faith is focused on everything that could go right, not knowing if it's going to happen or not, but just focused on it. It's the exact same thing. Different focus, different feeling, different experience through life. So if you have fear, my big thing for you would be change your question. Instead of what am I scared of, what might not work out, oh my gosh, what do I have to be careful about? Why not focus on what's possible here? Where's the beauty in this? What are all the beautiful, amazing, exciting things that could happen right now in this moment, and how can I enjoy them? Just by switching that one focus, all of a sudden you get a whole different physiological experience, an emotional and mental experience of the whole situation. If you watched all the way through this long, which is rare these days, because most people tune out after a couple minutes, A, I'm proud of you and thank you for staying with us. B, if you stood this long, we've got a free gift for you. If you want to go to JarekRobbins.com, there's a free opt-in there that whole design your ideal day process. It's a 30-minute audio plus a free ebook of how to do it on paper as well, that you're welcome to grab a copy of that yourself just as a gift and use that to design your perfect vision, your ideal vision for what you want your day-to-day life to be like, but then also create a physical action plan on paper to make that vision a reality.